What is the most urgent health problem in the United States today? Well, take a look. This is what Americans told us. And by the way, this is an open-ended question where Americans volunteered a response to that question, and then our Gallup coders put it into categories. As mentioned, here's the top 5. Number 1 is access. That would be people who said the top problem is the fact that people can't get health care. I'll come back to that in a moment. Number 2 is cost, the cost of health care. Number 3 is obesity. Number 4 is cancer, and the 5th most frequently volunteered urgent health problem in the country today is government involvement in health care. Now that latter one is a new category that we just started to see cropping up in this question just a couple of years ago, and it's mostly Republicans who are telling us that they think the biggest problem with health care today is that the government's getting too involved, obviously a reflection of the controversy over the new health care reform bill that was passed last March. We've had some other interesting changes over the years in response to this question. We first asked it back in the mid to late 1980s, and at that time, AIDS overwhelmingly was seen by the American public as the most urgent health problem. In other words, a disease. That changed a little as we went into the 1990s. Costs started to appear because there was emphasis on, of course, the cost of health care with the failed Clinton health care plan in the early 90s. Then in 2001, when we asked this question in November, bioterrorism cropped up near the top of the list because, of course, at that point there were concerns about anthrax and other things in the environment at that point. But from then on, we started to see more and more discussions of access and cost as the top health problems. So one of the major shifts we've seen from the late 80s to right now is that Americans are less likely to mention diseases or actual physical problems now as the most urgent health problem, and now are more likely to mention things that we hear discussed in terms of healthcare reform, how people get their problems fixed, that is access and cost and so on and so forth. So the problems aren't so much that we have diseases now, according to the average American. The urgent health problems facing us, according to Americans right now, have to do with being able to get those problems fixed. I'm Dr. Frank Newport, Gallup's Editor-in-Chief.